Hello and welcome back to the Smash Archive, the series where we look at every game franchise represented in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. For our next overview of a third-party company, let's take one that, unless you're a fighting game fan, or happen to be from Latin America, you likely don't know much about. That being none other than SNK. Now, usually for the videos focusing on third-party companies, we'd go through entry by entry to look over the content pulled from the main series represented in Smash, followed by brief overviews of all the minor series. However, due to a mix of only having one major franchise with Fatal Fury, the DLC pack that all this content came from being more of a general representation of SNK as a whole than just said major franchise, and the fact that the only other series present that has enough content to warrant that approach is the King of Fighters, I'm going to handle this in a similar manner to the Square Enix video, where I'll instead just do general overviews of every franchise, though this time it'll all be in chronological order instead of starting with the major series followed by the minor series. With all of that out of the way, let's get started. Releasing in arcades in 1985, Alpha Mission, or ASO Armored Scrum Object in Japan, is a vertical space shooter where the player pilots a fighter ship called the Cid in order to defend Earth from a hostile takeover from the Seven Star Alliance, a group of beings from the Tetra Nova galaxy who destroyed each other's homes in war and want to use the planet so they can rebuild and continue fighting each other. With the game featuring similar gameplay to Namco Xevious, requiring you use missiles to attack grounded enemies and a laser on aerial enemies. Whilst the game did end up becoming the 7th highest grossing arcade game of 1986 in Japan, proving popular enough to get an NES port as well as a sequel in 1991, nowadays the game is fairly obscure, which is something that's pretty common amongst SNK's library before they started making fighting games. Because of that, only one thing was taken from this game, namely a music track, which is a new remix of Theme of Cid, the main theme of Alpha Mission, with the track also including the insert credit jingle and Cid Overdrive. Starting life as a licensed game based on the second First Blood, or Rambo movie, Ikari Warriors, or simply Ikari in Japan, is a top-down run-and-gun game that released in arcades in 1986, the game having been designed and directed by Koji Obata, who had previously worked as the director of the game TNK 3, or Tank in Japan, with Ikari Warriors combining the twin-stick control scheme of that game with the run-and-gun style of gameplay popularized by Capcom's Commando. The game seeing you play as either Ralph Jones or Clark Still as they fight off swarms of enemies to eventually reach the village of Ikari. Ikari Warriors proved to be incredibly popular in arcades, managing to land on various highest grossing arcade games lists during its release year in Japan, America, and the UK, with it later getting 2 sequels, with Ikari Warriors 2 Victory Road, which also released in 1986, 1986, and Ikari Warriors 3 The Rescue in 1990, along with getting home releases on the NES and various microcomputers such as the Commodore 64 and ZX Spectrum. As this is arguably the oldest SNK franchise that has managed to stay relevant in the modern day, we have a bit more to talk about with Ikari Warriors when compared to Alpha Mission. First, we have a music track with the King of Fighters 14's rendition of the Ikari Warriors theme. Then there's Spirit number 1367, Ralph and Clark, a one-slot advanced primary shield spirit with the effect shooting items power up. The two playable characters across the Ikari Warriors series, with the pair having also made regular appearances in the King of Fighters series, as well as showing up in some of the later Metal Slug games. Interestingly enough, Ralph's first appearance was actually as the main character of Ikari Warriors' spiritual predecessor, TNK3, with Clark initially being a simple palette swap of Ralph to facilitate Ikari Warriors multiplayer. Coming out in arcades in 1986, Athena is an action game which follows the titular Princess Athena, who, bored of her monotonous daily life as the Princess of the Kingdom of Victory, ended up opening a forbidden door within the castle's basement, causing her to fall from the sky into a realm called Fantasy World, which has been taken over by the evil Emperor Dante, with her being forced to fight the various monsters, take their weapons and armor, and eventually defeat Dante to free the kingdom and hopefully get home alive. Athena was decently popular when it released, with Princess Athena being one of the earliest examples of a video game having a female main protagonist, as well as the game managing to become the 9th most successful arcade game of August 1986 in Japan, along with getting various home releases, though it wouldn't receive a proper sequel until 2 decades later with 2006's Athena Full Throttle, which only even got made due to the positive reception to Princess Athena's inclusion in the crossover fighting games SVC Chaos, SNK vs Capcom, and Neo Geo Battle Coliseum. Since Athena is mostly remembered for its main protagonist and its spiritual successor, which we'll be discussing next, similar to Alpha Mission, the only thing that was taken is a music track, in this case being a new remix of the theme for the first level, Forest World. Taking place in the same universe as Athena in the far future, Psycho Soldier is an action side-scroller that released in arcades in 1987, which sees you play as a pair of teenagers with psychic powers who are humanity's last chance to save them from monsters that have been sealed away for 1,000 years called the Shiguma, the player being able to attack by using psycho energy to form spheres, which can be used to create a rotating shield or be shot out as a projectile, with it being possible to find items in indestructible objects which can replenish energy, with the way that projectiles operate being based on how much energy the player has left. Despite Psycho Soldier doing fairly well at the time, being the 7th most successful arcade game during its launch month in Japan, it would never receive a direct sequel, only getting a couple of spin-offs revolving around its female lead, though it's managed to maintain some level of popularity throughout the years, mostly thanks to its legacy as being credited for featuring the first video game soundtrack with vocals, along with the game's 2 main protagonists becoming regulars in the King of Fighters series. Because of that, we have a little bit more to talk about with Psycho Soldier. To start off, we have 2 music tracks with a new remix of the Psycho Soldier theme, which gets both a Japanese and English version.
Ikari 放ち Athena の姿照らし出すの最後パワーを心に秘めて果てしない道を走る To be your man of fun let's feel it right along Fire Psycho Soldier Fire Psycho Soldier.
In addition, there's spirit number 1366, Athena Asamaya, a 2-slot ace support spirit which lets you start the battle with a Franklin badge. The game's female lead, who is a high school girl with psychic powers and a distant descendant of Princess Athena, with her also making regular appearances in the King of Fighters series, where she ended up fulfilling her dream of becoming a pop idol in KOF 96. After leaving Capcom for SNK, Takashi Nishiyama, the lead creator of the original Street Fighter, wanted to take another crack at the fighting game genre, specifically one that featured a storyline and characters that were easier to empathize with, something he felt he didn't achieve with Street Fighter. The end result of this would release in arcades in 1991 as Hungry Wolf Legend: The Battle of Destiny in Japan, or Fatal Fury: King of Fighters internationally, which sees you play as one of 3 characters as they compete in the King of Fighters, a fighting tournament held in Southtown, Fatal Fury's equivalent to real-life Miami, and organised by the Howard Syndicate, a crime organisation which rules over Southtown from the shadows ran by Geese Howard. The game releasing around the same time as Street Fighter II, with the main things that set them apart being that, unlike SF2, which put focus into its revolutionary combo system, Fatal Fury instead emphasized its storytelling and the timing of special moves, along with the game being played with 4 buttons instead of 6, by only having light or heavy punches and kicks ditching medium strength attacks. Fatal Fury would end up becoming the 4th highest grossing arcade game of 1992, proving to be a respectable 2nd place to Street Fighter II's 1st, with it also proving to be one of the more popular titles during the early days of the Neo Geo, SNK's line of ROM cartridge-based arcade cabinets and home consoles, with Fatal Fury going on to be the company's main fighting game series for a good while, receiving 2 direct sequels along with a non-canonical enhanced version of the 2nd game, a series of canonical sub-games titled Real Bout Fatal Fury, with Real Bout 1 getting a non-canon update, and Real Bout 2 a handheld adaptation for the Neo Geo Pocket Color, and a 3D remake of the first game titled Fatal Fury Wild Ambition. Though after the release of Garou Mark of the Wolves in 1999, which saw a 10-year time jump from previous entries, the series would go on an extended hiatus, primarily thanks to the original iteration of SNK going bankrupt in 2001, before being bought by the company Playmore, later renamed to SNK Playmore in 2003, and then simply SNK in 2016, with Fatal Fury finally being set to see its return in 2025 5 with Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. Since Fatal Fury was the first step in SNK's long history with fighting games, there's a lot of content from this series. First, we have fighter number 74, Terry, the main protagonist of the Fatal Fury series, originally entering the tournament to get revenge on Geese Howard for murdering his adopted father, Jeff Bogard, with him since becoming SNK's mascot, as well as appearing throughout Fatal Fury's more popular sister series, The King of Fighters, as the leader of Team Fatal Fury. Terry sported a few different looks throughout his many appearances, with his design in Smash primarily being based on his appearances within some of the earlier entries in the KOF series. Next is the stage King of Fighters Stadium, which is a Smash original stage based on the King of Fighters tournament which the plot of Fatal Fury and other SNK series revolve around, with it primarily being based on the various arena stages from the KOF series. The stage is effectively just a flat floor with an invisible wall on both sides of the stage, matching how most stages are designed in 2D fighting games, with the method of scoring KOs being to either launch fighters upward or to launch them hard enough to break through the invisible barriers, which takes inspiration from a similar ring-out mechanic from the real Bout series. During the fight, the sky will transition between day and night time, matching how several stages in the Fatal Fury and KOF series go through similar transitions during rounds. Finally, in the background, it's possible to see cameos from various SNK characters, namely Andy Bogard, Terry's younger brother, who was one of the 3 playable characters in the original Fatal Fury, with his look being based on his design in the early Fatal Fury and KOF games. Joe Higashi, a Muay Thai champion who served as the final playable character in Fatal Fury 1, whose look is based on his early Fatal Fury and KOF appearances. Geese Howard, the main antagonist and final boss of the original Fatal Fury, with his design being based on his look in Fatal Fury Special and the KOF series starting with KOF 96. Billy Kane, Geese Howard's right-hand man, who has been a recurring character in the Fatal Fury series since the first game, with his look coming from real Bout Fatal Fury and the KOF series from KOF 97 onwards. Tung Fu Ryu, a master of the Hakio Kuseiken fighting style from China, who trained both Geese Howard and Jeff Bogard, with his design in Smash being based on his appearances in Fatal Fury 1 and Special. Kim Kuf-won, a Korean Taekwondo master who is a self-proclaimed fighter of justice that first appeared as a playable character in Fatal Fury 2, with his appearance in Smash being based on his design from the KOF series. Blue Mary, a private detective who was introduced as a playable character in Fatal Fury 3, becoming a close friend and love interest for Terry, with her design being based on her look in KOF 14. Ryuji Yamazaki, an influential broker, weapons dealer, and drug trader with psychopathic tendencies that was introduced as a sub-boss for Fatal Fury 3, his look in Smash being based on his appearance in KOF 14. Rock Howard, the biological son of Geese Howard and Terry's adoptive son, who took on the role of Fatal Fury's main protagonist in Garou Mark of the Wolves, his design coming from KOF 14. Ryo Sakazaki, a martial artist who serves as the main protagonist of the Art of Fighting series, with his design coming from how he looked in the original Art of Fighting and some of the early KOF games. Yuri Sakazaki, Ryo's sister, who ended up being kidnapped by crime kingpin Mr. Big in the first game before becoming a playable character in Art of Fighting 2 and a regularly appearing character in the KOF series, with her design being fairly consistent across every game she's appeared in. King, a famous Muay Thai champion who pretended to be a man to hide their identity and ended up reluctantly working for Mr. Big in order to pay for her younger brother's surgery, before being defeated by and deciding to help Ryo, with her look coming from KOF 14. Kyo Kusanagi, the original main protagonist of the KOF series, who is a master of the ancient martial arts Kusanagi Ryu, with his design coming from the games that make up the Orochi saga. Iori Yagami, Kyo's rival who was introduced in KOF 95 and is the last heir to the Yagami clan, his design in Smash being based on his look in the series up to KOF 11. Goro Daimon, an Olympic gold medalist specialist in judo who, despite his tough outer look, is very warm-hearted, serving as a frequent member of KOF's Team Japan, with his design being almost unchanged across the entire series. Chang Kohan and Choi Bunch, a pair of convicts from Korea who ended up being forced into a rehabilitation program ran by Kim Kuf-won, with the pair having mellowed out from their criminal past along with becoming good friends with each other, their designs being based on their looks in KOF 94 and 95. Athena Asamaya, the female lead of Psycho Soldier and descendant of Princess Athena, with her design constantly changing in almost every appearance she's had, Smash using her look from KOF 95 as well as the crossover game Capcom vs SNK 2, and Ralph Jones and Clark Still, the two playable characters from the original Ikari Warriors, with their appearance in Smash being based on their redesigns from the early KOF games and Metal Slug. Then we have 17 music tracks, with a new remix of Kramer Faith Capiera School's Song of the Fight Believers Will Be Saved, the theme for Richard Meyer's stage in Fatal Fury 1, Pow Pow Cafe, The Sea Knows, the theme for Michael Max's stage in Fatal Fury 1, Sound Beach, versions of Kuri Kinton, the theme for Terry Bogart's stage in Fatal Fury 2, West Albuquerque, USA, with the original song a new remix for Ultimate, and an arrangement from The King of Fighters 14. Remix of Pasta, the theme for Andy Bogart's stage in Fatal Fury 2, Venice, Italy. Poem that the South Thailand wants to tell, the theme for Joe Higashi's stage in Fatal Fury 2, Chiang Mai, Thailand. remix of Tarkan and Katapi, the theme for Big Bear's stage in Fatal Fury 2, Alice Springs, Australia. Remix of Let's Go to Seoul, the theme for Kim Kaf-wan's stage in Fatal Fury 2, Seoul, South Korea. Of the London March, the theme for Billy Kane's stage in Fatal Fury 2, London, England. Working Matador, the theme for Lawrence Blood's stage in Fatal Fury 2, Pamplona, Spain. Dub Dub Duck U2, the theme for Duck King's stage in Fatal Fury Special, Bay Area, USA. Versions of Soy Sauce for Geese, the theme for Geese Howard's stage in Fatal Fury Special, Southtown, USA, with both the original song and a remix from KOF 14. Shot, the theme for Terry's stage in Fatal Fury 3, Sound Beach. and 2 versions of 11th Street, the theme for Terry's stage in Fatal Fury Wild Ambition, with a new remix and an arrangement from KOF 99. Finally, there's 5 spirits. Number 1356, Terry Bogard, a fighter spirit. The spirit artwork is from Fatal Fury Special, a non-canon updated version of Fatal Fury 2, which saw Terry entering a new King of Fighters tournament organised by Geese's half-brother, Wolfgang Krauser, who wanted to take down the man who killed him, with Special altering the plot slightly to have Geese and the contestants that Krauser murders in his pursuit of Terry still be alive. Number 1357, Andy Bogard, a 1-slot novice support spirit with the effect Lightweight. Terry's younger brother who entered the tournament in the first game for the same reason as Terry, to get revenge on Geese for murdering their adoptive father, Jeff. Though unlike Terry, who stayed in Southtown and used a mix of his skills learned from Jeff's mentor Tung Fu Ru, and getting into street fights, Andy travelled to Japan to be trained by Hanzo Shiranui, learning Shiranui Ryu Ninjutsu and a form of unhanded martial arts called Kapoken. Like Terry, his spirit art is taken from Fatal Fury Special, where he was also invited to join the tournament by Krauser. Number 1358, Joe Higashi, a 1-slot novice primary grab spirit, a Muay Thai champion from Japan who travelled to Southtown in the original Fatal Fury to prove himself in Geese's King of Fighters tournament, where he would end up meeting and eventually befriend Terry and Andy. His spirit art is taken from Fatal Fury Special, where outside of being another character to return from the previous King of Fighters tournament, he's not really that relevant to the game's story. Number 1359, Kim Kaf-Wan, a 1-slot novice support spirit with the effect Foot Attack Up, a Taekwondo master from South Korea who was introduced in Fatal Fury 2, having been invited to that game's King of Fighters tournament by Krauser, where he would meet Terry and develop a friendly rivalry after coming to respect him as the superior fighter. The spirit art is taken from Real Bout Fatal Fury Special, which combined the gameplay stylings of the first Real Bout game and Fatal Fury 2, the game being what is referred to as a dream match entry, where there's no real storyline and it effectively just serves as an excuse to bring back whatever characters the dev team felt like including, even if they've been canonically killed off in a previous entry. And number 1360, Geese Howard, a 3-slot legend support spirit with the effect Critical Fast Final Smash Meter Double Up. The main antagonist and final boss of the original Fatal Fury, Geese being a crime boss who effectively runs all of Southtown thanks to his connections with the Mafia and his own group, the Howard Syndicate, with Geese being the one who ran the King of Fighters tournaments in the original Fatal Fury and Real Bout 1, along with Art of Fighting 2 detailing the events of the first King of Fighters tournament. His spirit art is taken from Real Bout Fatal Fury Special, where Geese appears as a hidden boss in the form of Nightmare Geese, an alternate version of him that was created following his canonical death after falling off the top of Geese Tower for a second time at the end of Real Bout 1. Releasing in arcades in 1992, Art of Fighting was a fighting game created by Hiroshi Matsumoto, who had previously worked with Takashi Nishiyama on both Street Fighter and Fatal Fury, with Art of Fighting actually being set in the same universe as Fatal Fury, specifically being a prequel taking place in the late 70s and early 80s, with the main differences between the two first games of both series being Art of Fighting featuring much larger and more detailed character sprites, along with it including an energy bar that would deplete as you perform special techniques or if your enemy taunts you, with Art of Fighting being credited as one of the first fighting games to feature super attacks, more powerful special attacks that use up a lot of energy, with it also being possible to pull off even more devastating desperation attacks whilst at critical health. Whilst Art of Fighting proved popular enough to get 2 sequels, it hasn't seen a new game since Art of Fighting 3 released in 1996, with it mostly living on through some of the series' characters making appearances in both Fatal Fury and The King of Fighters. Whilst Art of Fighting is nowadays mostly remembered for its involvement in the creation of gaming's most iconic joke character, there's still a good amount of content taken from the series, most likely thanks to the connections it has to more popular series. To begin, we have 2 music tracks with 2 versions of Art of Fight. The theme for Ryu Hakutoko's stage in the original Art of Fighting, though nowadays the song is more associated with Ryo Sakazaki, with a new remix for Ultimate, and an arrangement from Fatal Fury Special. After this is a Mii brawler costume based on Ryo Sakazaki, the main protagonist of the series, who in the first game sets out to save his sister Yuri from a crime kingpin called Mr. Big, with Ryo also having a few small appearances in the Fatal Fury games, along with being a regular character in the King of Fighters series. On top of that, there's spirit number 1361, Ryo Sakazaki, a 3-slot ace primary grab spirit with the effect Fist Attack Up. His spirit artwork is taken from Art of Fighting 3, where within the game's greater story, he takes a supporting role to the series' other main character, Robert Garcia, with Ryo's ending showing him give Yuri a plane ticket to go with Robert to his home in Italy. Continuing with SNK's various fighting game series, we have 1993's Samurai Shodown, which set itself apart from their previous fighters by having no connections to the Fatal Fury series, being set in late 18th century Japan, the game following a variety of characters being drawn towards an evil spirit called Amakusa spreading chaos through the land after making a deal with the dark god Ambrosia due to his hatred of the shogunate, with the main differences in gameplay when compared to SNK's previous being that most of the cast fight using their weapons instead of their fists, the first game being one of the earliest examples of a weapon-based fighter, along with featuring a rage meter which fills up as you take damage, which when filled will make all of a character's attacks deal critical damage for a limited amount of time. Samurai Shodown would end up becoming one of SNK's more popular franchises, managing to get 4 numbered sequels plus a non-canon 6th entry, 4 3D games that are also canon to the series' overarching storyline, along with a handful of spin-offs, portable conversions, and mobile games, that after the mixed to negative reception of 2008's Samurai Shodown Sen, the series wouldn't get a new mainline entry until 2019's Samurai Shodown, which served as a sort of soft reboot for the series, taking place before the events of the first game, but but after the prequel entry Samurai Shodown 5. Since this is arguably SNK's most popular series, which, at least prior to 2016, didn't have any overt connections to the Fatal Fury or King of Fighters series, there's a good amount of content from Samurai Shodown. To start, we have 3 music tracks, all of which originate from the first game, with Tuna, the theme for Galford D. Weller's stage, San Francisco, California, USA. Of Banquet of Nature, the theme for Nakaruru stage, Kamyu Kotan, Hokkaido, Japan. A new remix of Gaia, the theme for Earthquake stage, Texas Desert, USA. Have a Mii swordfighter costume based on Nakaruru, a young girl who serves as a protector of nature, fighting to save it from wars and plagues with her sword Chichiushi and eagle Mamahaha, with her serving as the series' main female protagonist. To end off, there's 2 spirits. Number 1364, Haomaru, a slotless ace primary attack spirit with the effect Sword Attack Up. The main protagonist of the Samurai Shodown series, who is constantly traveling around the world for strong opponents to test his swordsman skills. The spirit art is taken from Samurai Shodown II, where after defeating Amakusa in the first game, Haomaru is told by an attempted attacker that his soul will be used to revive Ambrosia, with him setting out to take down an evil priestess responsible for the demon's attempted resurrection. And number 1365, Nakaruru, a 1-slot advanced support spirit with the effect Air Attack Up. Since her first appearance, Nakaruru has not only become one of the most popular characters in the series, but arguably one of SNK's most popular female characters. So much so that she ended up being used as a mascot for SNK's social action program alongside Terry Bogard, as well as being the first, and for a while, only Samurai Shodown character to be included in the KOF series. Now we have SNK's most popular franchise with the King of Fighters, which started life as a side-scrolling beat-em-up before later being converted into a team-based fighting game and releasing in arcades in 1994 under the title The King of Fighters 94. The series being set in an alternate continuity to the Fatal Fury universe, such that in addition to the characters from Art of Fighting now being around the same age as the Fatal Fury cast, ones from other SNK series such as the previously discussed Ikari Warriors and Psycho Soldier also exist within the same world. The characters from older titles being included to appeal to older players, with the new characters made specifically for the King of Fighters being meant to appeal to younger players. KOF would prove to be incredibly successful, and thanks to the Neo Geo arcade cabinet's use of ROM cartridges, making the importing of new games cheaper when compared to the machines from SNK's competition, it helped the series become especially popular in regions where arcade games were typically very expensive to bring over, such as Korea, China, and Latin American countries like Mexico and Brazil. KOF would end up becoming SNK's main fighting game franchise, the series having seen yearly installments from 1994 to 2003, the frequent releases only slowing down due to SNK's previously discussed financial troubles, with the series currently consisting of 15 mainline entries which make up 4 storylines, namely the Orochi Saga with KOF 94 to 98, the Nests Saga from KOF 99 to 2002, the Ash Saga with KOF 2003 to 13, and what is currently the New Age Saga with KOFs 14 and 15, all of these being released alongside various remakes, spin-offs, and specialized home releases. Given the King of Fighters is the company's flagship franchise, there is a lot of content pulled from KOF. First, we have 18 music tracks, with Ne, Team Women Fighters theme in KOF 94, KOF 2002 Unlimited Matches rendition of Desert Requiem, Team Ikari Warriors theme in KOF 95, the 2002 UM's version of Isaka, Team Japan's theme in KOF 96, a new remix of Stormy Saxophone 2, Team Yagami's theme in KOF 96, 2002 UM's rendition of KD0079, Team K's theme in KOF 99. KOF 14's version of WW3, Team Ikari Warriors theme in KOF 99. Terry 115, Team Fatal Fury's theme in KOF 2000. Street Dancer, Team Fatal Fury's theme in KOF 11. KOF 14's rendition of New Order, Team Kyo and Iori's theme in KOF 11. Undercover, Team Agent's theme in KOF 2002 UM. Cutting Edge, Chrysalid's theme in KOF 2002 UM. second Joker, Ash Crimson's theme in KOF 13. Isaka continues, Team Japan's theme in KOF 13. Wild Street, Team Fatal Fury's theme in KOF 13. Tamer Bad Boy, Team Kim's theme in KOF 13. KD0063, Team K's theme in KOF 13. Ikari Isaka, Team Japan's theme in KOF 14. And departure from Southtown, Team Fatal Fury's theme in KOF 14. Next is a Mii Brawler costume based on Iori Yagami, a character introduced in KOF 95 as the heir to the Yasakani clan, one of the 3 clans who worked together to seal away the legendary snake entity Orochi 1,800 years ago, and rival to Kyo Kusanagi, serving as the leader for the original version of Team Rivals, referred to in later games as Team Yagami, with its sole goal being to take down Kyo. Finally, there's 2 spirits. Number 1362, Kyo Kusanagi, a 2-slot ace primary attack spirit with the effect Fire Attack Up. The heir to the Kusanagi clan, another one of the clans that sealed Orochi, who served as the series' main protagonist during the Orochi saga, being the leader of the original version of Team Hero, referred to in later games as Team Japan. His artwork comes from KOF 98, which doesn't have a storyline, as similar to the previously mentioned Real Bout Fatal Fury special, it's a dream match entry featuring every character from the Orochi saga. And number 1363, Iori Yagami, a 2-slot ace primary neutral spirit with the effect Speed Up. The spirit art is taken from KOF 97, where he initially entered the tournament to defeat Kyo, but ends up teaming up with him and Chizori Kagura, the heir to the Yata clan, in order to defeat the remaining 4 Heavenly Kings and reseal Orochi. For the last stop in our overview of SNK, we have their long-running series of 2D run-and-gun games with Metal Slug, the first game releasing in arcades in 1996, which was primarily developed by a bunch of ex-members of the studio IREM, who had worked on titles such as In the Hunt and Gun Force 2, but the series often being viewed as SNK's version of Konami's Contra. The original Metal Slug following a small unit called the Peregrine Falcon Squad being sent out to stop an attempted coup by General Donald Morden, though as the series would go on, they'd end up also fighting supernatural threats such as Martians, Yetis, and zombies. Metal Slug would end up doing well enough to receive 6 sequels, with Metal Slugs 2 and 7 both getting updated versions, as well as several spin-offs which mainly released on handhelds or mobile phones. With the series currently standing as SNK's most internationally popular franchise, outside of their various fighting games. Because of that, Metal Slug has a decent amount of representation in Smash, albeit with not much variety, with the only things taken being 5 music tracks, with a new remix of the main theme of Metal Slug, which was used as the first mission theme in Metal Slug 1. Of the Assault theme, which plays during various boss fights in the first 3 Metal Slug games. Attack, the theme used for the first part of the final mission in Metal Slug 1, which has since appeared in multiple games afterwards, Smash specifically using the version from Metal Slug 5. Judgment, the first mission theme from Metal Slug II. And Blue Water Fangs, the Island of Dr. Moreau, the first mission theme from Metal Slug 3. And with that, we've looked at everything in Smash to come from SNK. In order of how these series rank in terms of their amount of representation, Alpha Mission and Athena are tied 153rd with 66 other series, Ikari Warriors is tied 109th with 43 other series, Psycho Soldier is tied 88th with 20 other series, Art of Fighting and Metal Slug are tied 62nd with Art Academy, Brain Training, Dylan's Rolling Western, Famicom Mukashibinashi, Nintendo Badge Arcade, No More Heroes, Panel de Pon, Shantae, and the Robot series. Samurai Shodown is tied 47th with Chibi Robo, Cuphead, Tetris, The Legendary Starfy, Wrecking Crew, and the Light Gun series. The King of Fighters is 34th, putting it above Punch-Out and Banjo-Kazooie, but below Wii Fit, along with it also standing as both the 14th most represented third-party series and the most represented series which doesn't have a playable character. And Fatal Fury is 32nd, putting it above Wii Fit but below Kingdom Hearts, making it the 13th most represented third-party series and in turn the third least represented third-party series with a playable character, only beating Banjo-Kazooie and Pac-Man. As a quick reminder for the upcoming episodes, the next volume will be an overview of all the minor series to come from the 3DS and Wii U. After that is an episode which will be determined by a poll in the community tab, either focusing on the various series to come from Konami or Microsoft, which will then be followed by an episode looking at the content taken from Splatoon, ARMS, and all the minor series to come from the Nintendo Switch. Until then, feel free to subscribe to the channel to keep up with what's being posted, and thanks for watching.